for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Our guests in the studio today are Bobbie Norman and Chaz Guest. They're waiting to be profiled, so you watch for them. Singer Bobbie Norman was born in Washington and raised in San Francisco and Long Beach. She studied theater arts at Redland University and worked at the Pasadena and Long Beach playhouses. With a degree in radio and television production and her great voice, we can see and hear Bobbie everywhere. Did it all start when you were in the first grade?
Not really in the first grade, Joan. It started in the fourth grade. That was probably the first. That was probably the first role that I had. I played the mother because I was always the biggest kid in class, so I always got the role of the mom.
And then after you studied, where did you think you were going to go from the fourth grade on?
All I know is that I just always wanted to be in theater. That was just a big, important part of my life and always has been.
And that was in San Francisco?
Yes, San Francisco in fourth grade.
Were you taking classes all the time?
No, not until I came to Long Beach.
How did you break into show business?
Oh, golly. Well, I don't think you break in. I think you kind of ease your way in as best you can wherever you are. And I took voice lessons, and I did the high school thing, and I did the local little theater thing and the local musical theater thing. And then took a really long hiatus to raise a family, so I did that.
But you must have had a natural voice. I mean, your voice was there. It was just a matter of working on it to get it up to theater quality, let's say.
Well, yeah, and parents always want you to take lessons and be trained and do all that. So I did that. But my first love really has always been jazz. And I was talking to Chaz a little bit ago about this, how I used to sneak into the lighthouse down in Hermosa Beach, when I was 14.
Right.
And I probably shouldn't say that.
The lighthouse, but it's
still there.
That's history, isn't it? Jazz history.
Oh, absolutely it is. Howard Rumsey and the Lighthouse All-Stars.
Exactly.
And George Shearing used to come in there. That was my first.
Were you singing with them or just watching?
No, don't I wish. No, I used to sing a little place called The Hat down in Belmont Shore sometimes when Bobby Strickland was playing piano there when he'd let me.
And you made commercials.
Yes, I've got a national running right now for...
Which is what?
I can say it?
Sure.
Okay, for Globe Life Insurance.
And what do you do on that commercial?
Well, this is a Medicare supplement insurance commercial. And I have to say, without any embarrassment at all, that I probably have done more commercials for Medicare supplement insurance than any woman in the business.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is there a lot of it?
Probably, yeah. What was really funny was that I started before I was ever eligible.
Now you can do it.
Now,
you also worked with Dick Clark.
I did as a teenager. As a teenager, I did a couple of shows on American Bandstand when they would focus on different schools, and because I was a singer. Yeah.
Were you singing or just
singing and narrating? I was kind of the narrator for the show, and I did. They liked my voice, my speaking voice, and I could read well. So I got to do commercials where they show the product, and then the narrator does the voiceover, and I did that. Hosiery, I think it was, something like that.
Do you do voiceovers now?
I don't now. I don't have a voiceover agent at the present time.
But isn't that just a great thing to do? Especially
it would be. It would be. It's also a very small little niche, in the market. Very small.
Is it hard to get into it?
Yeah, it is.
But even if you have a great voice like that, you've narrated some movies, I know, and you've been in some movies. Tell us about those.
The one that I probably enjoyed the most was A Mile in My Shoes. It's a short. Written by Denise Plum, and it's a wonderful, beautiful little film, and it's won all kinds of awards. It's about a little girl in the Depression era, and I play her when she's grown up after she's moved away from that life and become a photographer. And I
So you're
narrate the whole
star?
show.
Are you the
and then-
star and also narrator?
Well, the young girl actually is the little girl, Janelle Ganestra is her name, who plays me as a child. And then I appear on camera at the end of the film, but I narrate the whole thing. So that was fun.
How long
fun.
is
It's a
that
beautiful
feature?
thing. It's about 30 minutes.
Oh, so it's
just a little short.
And when you do something like that, do you have to do a lot of takes? Do you do it over and over, or if you know how to read?
Well, it depends. Oh, you mean for the voiceovers?
Voice, the narration.
It depends on the director and how. When a director knows what they want, it doesn't usually take too many takes. When they're not too sure what they want, then you need to give it in a variety of ways so that they have a choice. Yeah.
So we've brought you up to now, I think. Have
Well,
we brought
now-
you? You raised a family.
Did all that.
You did the high school, then the drama and films and commercials you're still doing. And now we're to CDs
Yeah.
and appearing in Long Beach and appearing at the Cinegrill.
Cinegrill.
And what kind of a show do you do?
Well, this latest one, may I show that?
Sure.
This is
I'll hold it up.
the picture of me way back when is the cover of the new CD, which is called Always Faithful. And the concept of this whole particular album is that during the war, between the years of 1941 and 1945, a lot of people were separated from people that they loved, and so there's this common denominator of you're gone and I miss you and I will always be faithful to you. So these are the songs from the 40s, like I'll be seeing you and You'll Never Know. It's been a long, long time.
How did you find those songs?
Well, when I was real little, and I was real little, those songs were being played on the hit parade, and that was during the war. And I was a real little girl, and I can remember my dad going down to the wharf in San Francisco and bringing servicemen home for dinner. And because I was kind of a little Shirley Temple wannabe, you know, I would sing for them. And I learned all the anthems for all the military services.
So this was really Total Recall for these songs?
Oh yeah. These songs are kind of embedded in my spirit, really. It's my dad played the saxophone, and we listened to the radio. He would play along with the radio. I would sing.
So you came from a very kind of a musical family.
Yeah, on my dad's side, yeah.
And what about your kids? Are they musical?
My daughter plays the harp. My one daughter plays the harp. Yeah. She started on a hammered dulcimer when she was living back east and progressed up to a Celtic harp, and now she plays a pedal harp.
And just to
about
carry
so
that.
big.
Oh, it's
Well,
not so high.
She has a lap harp that's about this big that she travels with when she travels, so that she
that's
can
great.
practice.
So the Long Beach and the Cinegrill shows consist of nostalgic.
Well, this
40s.
one, for this album, yes. For this album, when we did the show at the Cinegrill to introduce that one, that's a whole different set of songs.
Let me show this one too, because
Okay.
this shows you in.
Yeah.
This shows you.
You can look at the picture on the back. Is that?
This shows you at two different times
Yeah.
of your life.
Then was then,
And what
and
was
now
this?
is
The
now.
50s
Yeah.
with that little
That was
short
me.
haircut.
Yeah. Yes.
What about this CD, Bobbie Norman, Here and Now? Tell us about that. What's on that?
Well, this was kind of an afterthought after we had done the first couple of Cinegrill shows, and I did a show at the Cinegrill with just songs that I particularly liked. And my producer Clifford Bell, my musical director David Snyder wrote the title song called Here and Now. And while I was introducing, at the first show I did at the Cinegrill, I was introducing a song of Lindy Robbins that's called, oh my gosh.
Good. You
Yes,
can
Having the Time of Your Life.
Good.
And it's a great song about living in the moment and taking care of yourself now. And I said that I was too young to be living in the past all the time and too old to be longing for a future that was yet to be. So that left the Here and Now, which was the title of the new album I was working on. And I don't know where that came from. And so we decided we took most of the songs that were in that show and put them on this album.
I know when you're on stage that you need a musical director, because you need someone playing the music for you, but you use a band, don't you? You use several pieces on stage.
Anything from a trio to 6 or 7 pieces, yeah.
So it's like a big background for
Yeah.
you. But why do you need a director? If you have a musical director, why do you need Clifford Bell? who's so well
Clifford Bell.
known.
Yeah, he is, and
who's
rightly
so well
so.
known, right?
Clifford is a genius at putting an order to a program, and he knows exactly how to line up a song order. He also knows, he's really brilliant at reaching into you and getting the most out of you. And when you think you're doing what you should be doing, he will say, why don't you approach it this way? And Clifford helps me grow, and that's important to me.
So you actually are
Plus
in need of a director.
Oh, sure. Plus he does a lot, well, he's a producer, director, and he also takes care of an awful lot of stuff that performers really don't want to deal with, you know.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Because
I've been very blessed.
if somebody comes in and helps you change things around a little bit, where you get like 2-1
You can.
tunnel vision.
That's right. Yeah, you can.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing more of you on the stage
Good.
and hearing you sing. I wish we could hear you sing now.
I do too.
Oh, you don't want to sing us
Another
out?
time. Next time you have a piano, we'll plan on that.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joan. It's been my pleasure.
Thanks. Don't go away. We'll be right back with Chaz Guest. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and we're back with artist Chaz Guest, who was raised in Philadelphia by his reverend father and his very spiritual mother. He earned a gymnastics scholarship to Southern Connecticut State, where he majored in graphic arts. Then he went on to New York City after his graduation and attended FIT. Did you intend to be a fashion designer at that point?
I had fleeting thoughts of becoming the next Willie Smith or Perry Ellis, or do you remember those guys?
I knew Willie very well, and you kind of do have that look, so you could have passed in that respect. You're not tall enough.
Right, well, I wanted to have my own voice there, but I did have very strong aspirations of being a fashion designer.
Were they your critics? Because at FIT they had critics come in.
Yeah, I had quite a few incredible critics coming through FIT, as you know, like Bob Mackey.
Yeah,
Bob
very
Mackey,
well, I know him.
And actually, this is how I met Antonio Lopez, actually.
Through
FIT.
Through FIT, because
Yes.
Antonio Lopez, who is a great fashion illustrator, was teaching a class at FIT and critiquing fashion illustration.
Right, and now I didn't take that course, or I wasn't involved in that. Nothing like that. I met Antonio in the bookstore.
Oh, is that right?
I didn't take any of his classes or anything, but I diverted from the fashion designing because I really felt that that wasn't going to be it. I wasn't going to be able to do that 100%. I didn't have the little other things that I needed.
Were you drawing all the time?
Badly.
You were?
Badly.
So did you go take drawing classes?
No, I was just totally in the mind of if Antonio could do it, I can do it.
Is that right? Well, that was pretty haughty, wasn't it?
That was. I was very cocky in those days.
I would say.
I was a gymnast. That's all built on self-confidence.
I see.
I mean, someone could very easily mistake that as being cocky, but it's just utterly confident.
And confident. And Antonio was so precise in everything he did, didn't he?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I was just so taken aback by this character, and he was so talented to me, and he exuded that, as you said, and so we traded numbers, and I actually impressed upon him so much with my work, and he said it's so stiff and you have to loosen up a little bit. This was in 1986.
He actually did help you, like with your drawing, and tell you what to do?
Yes, he did. He said first you just have to trust every line. This is like a like a sensei in martial arts, sort of. It's like you don't need so many directions. Just someone can say something. I mean, this is very, very touching. The last time I saw Antonio Lopez, he was dressed all in white, and he leaned out of his apartment and he said, "Go for it."
Really?
Just like
and he
that.
was on Union Square.
Union Square.
Yeah,
that
I
was
know.
that was the last time I saw him, and he
Yeah.
passed away.
He did
but
pass
that
away.
image is always in my head.
And he looked fabulous and white.
All
He
the
had this
time.
wonderful little mustache and black hair. He was very dashing.
Very dashing.
And he took all those models to Paris at one year. He developed Mick Jagger's wife.
Oh, Jerry Hall.
Jerry Hall. and he
Grace
had-
Jones.
Right,
Jessica
Grace.
Lange.
He had them all in Paris with him, didn't he?
Right.
And he always was drawing them. So you went to Paris with him.
No, I didn't. He died.
Oh, he died before
when
you
he was
got
supposed
to
to
Paris?
come. He was supposed to come back from Santa Monica, and he was going to introduce me to Lagerfeld and everyone in Paris. And he died. I read in the newspaper.
Oh.
And so you can imagine the fire that was lit under me after that. I said, I've got to go by myself.
And also, you must have thought, this was my chance.
This
And
was,
he
I
was gone.
Right, but I was going to make that still happen by myself.
You were going to do that.
And Lord, no, I don't know how.
But you did it.
One-way ticket to Paris.
How did you meet those designers then?
Then I had met another illustrator by the name of Mats Gustafsson. Do you remember him at all?
Fabulous.
Very tall, blonde.
This is like my
debonair hair.
passion. I love these fashion illustrators.
Yeah.
And fashion illustrators always wanted to be painters.
Yes.
They never thought that their
Yes.
work was as strong
Do
as
you
a painter.
know, that's a very interesting point you just bring up right there, because the reason why I am painting today is because of Mats Gustafsson.
He was brilliant.
I totally switched gears. While we were in Paris, he gave me a handful of invitations to the shows, because of course I didn't have anything but a one-way ticket, and my just drive, you know. And he gave me these tickets. He kept the good shows for himself, of course. And I went, and right away I was pulled into this one circle of people by these tall models, and I was just right in the middle. I was like a
loved
little
you?
brother, yeah. You know, and they all of the work that I had done walking around Paris, introducing myself and my work to all the magazines, there was a gentleman there from Joyce who recognized me, and of course I must be in now because I'm at one of the parties that I was dragged into.
Isn't this so
That's
typical?
how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
And so he starts talking to me in French. I can't understand anything, but I caught one thing. It said, in my office tomorrow at 8.
You picked that
I
up.
picked that up. And I was there, and I did the cover.
You did the cover.
I did the cover that year.
And this is the cover that we have, a French cover, French, done in
Couture
France,
magazine.
of whose work?
That is Yves Saint Laurent. And I was invited to his atelier, and I did this cover. And that's how I earned my money to get back to the United States.
Is that right? Well, this has such an homage to Antonio.
Yes.
I feel the love that you've put in this
Yes.
that was very much like Antonio's work.
Right. And the very...
Let me show this one too,
Yes.
because I think this is also in keeping with what was going on.
Right.
How'd you get to La Croix?
Well, they needed an illustration for their magazine, and then this is a great epiphany in my life, meeting Christian Lacroix,
Isn't he
because
the best?
he's an artist from his heart.
I know.
Everything. And so what happened there, he invited me to the bullfight. And let me tell you, this was an epiphany after epiphany to bring me into painting. Mats always thought that I should be a painter and not an illustrator, you know, because we were going on about how they cropped the arm off of that illustration there and how it infuriated me. The balance of my drawing just went.
Because they needed to fit it on the page.
I couldn't handle it any longer. I said, okay, I'm going to be by myself, create my own work, and what I put down, I'll put down.
So there you are. So that was the changeover.
That was the change
into
over
art.
to painting.
Okay, so well then, how did you learn to even look at a canvas and paint?
Well, I looked at how Lacroix was designing, and he looked as unsure as anyone would. And the end result was just so beautiful. And this is how I just learned, you know, artists are just amazing. They don't know what they just do it. You just do it.
You
and
just picked up any kind of material and
just
started working?
You should see the way I first stretched my canvas. It was horrible, but I just kept at it with the rabbit skin glue and everything, you know. But I'm skipping the story to story, but at the bullfight.
No, but it's interesting to know that that's what an artist can actually do, because so many people feel they have to have a formal education in a certain area.
Well,
and you're proving that it's different.
Well, I wouldn't be an advocate of that because I would be afraid of the outcome. But, you know, I have total faith in nature, you see. I always pride myself as wanting to be a part of nature instead of just a boring human being, you know. So I want to move with the how nature moves me.
So is that what happened at the bullfight?
That's what happened at the bullfight. That's what happened.
We're getting into movement here.
Wow, that was it. I mean, I saw this energy of this bull and the cape and the Spanish culture, and I painted like crazy. I used some of the sand from the ring after the bullfight was over, and I put on the canvas. And, you know, I sold all those paintings except one. I have one for myself.
Yeah, you must always keep one
That's
out
right.
of a series for yourself.
That's right. I kept one for myself. And, you know, then I wanted to find out about my own culture and then see if I can attack it the same way I did the bullfight. And this is the way this wonderful classical American music came up that we call jazz.
And were you a jazz aficionado before?
No, not at all.
Just pull this over and
not at all.
hold it up so they can see. Tell us about this.
In fact, that's blues. That's actually B.B. King. I was invited to the B.B. King Club on, 42nd Street? Times Square, you're right. And I was actually on stage with B.B. King creating these works.
You had your paper?
My paper and my easel and my ink. And it was very dark in the club, so these are done only on feeling. I'm
gonna drop this down, put it in front of us right here.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna hold this one up because this is from also.
Yes. Of course, this is me taking another position on stage and just capturing the side profile.
How did the artist relate to your actually coming on stage with them with an easel?
Right. Well, this was all pre-arranged before I got there.
Naturally, but still, did they like that?
Oh, he gave me thumbs up as I was doing it.
And then
then the ones that are at the gallery, Muriel K. Boris gallery, these are ones that he actually signed after the show.
He signed them too.
Yes.
Don Bacardi, who's a portrait artist, always has his subject sign his painting as well, his drawing as well. He signs it, and then he has the subject sign it. So that's interesting that you had the artist sign it.
Yes, well, I wanted to just move it that much more towards its authenticity.
Now, you talked about Muriel K. Boris, who's in West Hollywood. She has your work.
Yes.
She shows your work. But you've shown in galleries all over Europe and Asia.
Yes.
And how do you get these galleries?
Well, remember when I was speaking to you about nature?
Yeah.
I just blow right with the wind. And just how I met Muriel Boris, for instance, is just the exact same way. You know, I'm growing to believe when you tell the truth and when you are the truth, you aspire to be the truth. I think other people listen and they know what you need to do next. And this is the way that I feel that I've been able to show in these prestigious galleries around.
Well, didn't your father teach you that?
Yeah, I learned. He didn't teach it to me, but I learned it from him.
Wasn't he teaching other people?
He was teaching. I just happened to pick it up. But my mother, I would give more of the credit for that.
Is that
you know,
right?
I've grown up looking at her, you know, her
Was she
direction.
strong?
Yeah, oh, definitely. I have a story of her. I'll share that with you later on. A book that came that was out.
Oh, I'd like
and
to see that.
They asked me about my growing up, and I mentioned just watching this incredible woman. She raised 9 children alone.
Oh, she
after my parents divorced. Yes. Alone, and for us to get to church was a mission.
And she did it, though.
She did it.
Because it was important.
Yes.
And it shows in your life now, I think.
I think so. I think the confidence I do. It's not. I hope it doesn't come off as pompous, but I am very confident because I'm not afraid of what's put in front of me, even death. You know.
You were talking about doing the artist on stage, and this is an album cover, you told me.
Well, yes. Well,
is this the album cover or the one behind you?
Actually, they took the drummer from this particular painting and did with a computer. They put it inside of this one.
Oh, so they
compiled it and made it because see, I left the drummer Poogie Bell out of this composition. And so they were ready to put it on the cover, and they wind up using photographs of Marcus anyway.
Oh, so that was how it worked.
He called me up. You got a couple of minutes?
Oh, he wasn't, was he?
Well, he started putting everyone on the album. Chaka Khan, Herbie Hancock,
Oh.
Take Six. Everyone started making the album become something different. And so it wasn't the live band anymore.
It wasn't anymore. One interesting thing, you had a big mural commission in France.
Yes. Well, it started from France. I was commissioned in France to paint the European Championships of gymnastics.
Oh, because you're a gymnast.
I was a gymnast, yes.
So you know the muscles and everything?
I know every movement of that, what's going on out there. And that I have to admit, that was tough. I was sweating bullets out there trying to come up with something.
But how do you come up with your proportion if you haven't studied that in school? Just your eye?
Just my eye and how things work.
I see you wrinkling your eye, so
yeah,
it must
you know,
be
because
the
I'm
eye.
thinking, kinesiology, the study of movement,
right.
and just understanding it, and just, I love painting women. I love women. I mean, every.
Well, that takes us before we have to finish our talk today. Let's talk a little bit about this painting on the set, which is absolutely beautiful, and it's women. It's two women and a mask. Tell us about it.
Well, the mask, it was birthed from my experience in Europe. When I used to sit there and just watch how I knew the woman on the runway, off the runway, and on the runway. So it was just amazing to me how when they put on the makeup and things, how their attitude would change so much.
So
and so
true.
it birthed that mask, the mask thing. And so I incorporated that in my paintings.
So true.
And the elongated figures and such. This vase here comes from a painting that Picasso did. He had 3 apples and oranges around the base, but I always looked at the base there, and
you saw
it looked like a woman to me for some reason, so I had to paint it and then go off into this direction of that created this painting.
Well, we're going to leave you with that because now when you look at a vase or you look at anything, you can see all different kinds of things, especially the female figure.
Right.
Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. It was a mouthful.
I'm so glad you came. And I'm so glad you were watching today. Be sure to keep writing to us at 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, and Los Angeles 917. And we'll see you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles.